Just like the butterflies that we saw on the films at the conservatory in Columbus, Ohio, those surprising colors and the delight that the children were experiencing holding those butterflies and the newness. These two men were surprised in some wonderful ways. In fact, surprised in such a way that I would even call this the essence of prayer, the kind of joy of walking into some whole new ways of looking at God, of looking at life, of looking at themselves. And I would suggest that there were three different ways, new ways of connecting, you might say, that these two men found on their road, on their walk to the village of Emmaus. Three different things, three different surprises, three different ways of connecting, resulting in a joy that can only be experienced when you are willing and you have the courage to step into something new and wonderful and surprising. The first thing that happens is that Jesus comes up to them. He walks up beside them as they're discussing this, and it sounds like they're pretty focused. You know, they're talking about Jesus being killed and all this, and all the things that have happened 3 days ago or a couple days ago on Good Friday, and they're talking about this. Jesus comes right alongside them and just kind of comes into the conversation. And they don't recognize him. He's just an ordinary person. He's just a stranger. They don't know who he is. And he begins to ask, well, what's going on? What are you guys talking about? And they go, well, don't you know all the stuff that's been happening, in town? And he goes, well, what things? And he plays along. It's this interesting role that Jesus, keep in mind, Jesus is God, okay? And he knows what's going on. But he asks the questions, as so often he does. He asks the question, well, what's going on? And they begin to tell him all about how Jesus was killed, and he was a prophet, mighty indeed, and all these great things. But we thought he was going to be the one, who's going to take us out, redeem Israel, take us out of this Roman rule that's been over our heads and all this military stuff and oppression. And we thought he was going to be the one. And then even more confusing, some of the women saw that his body's gone, and they say he's alive, but we went over and all this confusion, not sure what's going on. And they're explaining it to this guy, this stranger. And Jesus goes, oh, so foolish. The Greek word is without a mind. It means to have not be thoughtful, not to be mindful, not to have a mind, not to really think on things and recognize what is for what it truly is. Oh, mindless ones. Oh, slow of heart to believe everything that's been written, all the stuff, it's all there. And he begins to explain things to them. Well, the first surprise connection, I would say, is that Jesus connects us and is connected to us through the stranger. We think that we're connected to Jesus in nice, warm, and fuzzy, familiar places like church or where our friends are or at a friend's house and all that. And there's a connection there. That's not to be denied. But the powerful connection comes through the stranger. And it gets us feeling a little tight, a little bit, I'm not sure about this, and a little fearful and all of that. But the deep connection with God, the deep connection with life, the deep connection with joy itself comes through the stranger, the unfamiliar one, the one where we take a chance, where we step out in faith, where we dare to make a connection. And God's already making that connection. And lo and behold, Jesus appears quite out of the blue, out of that stranger, whoever he or she or it or whatever they may be, that strange situation. There's a little light that's shining, and it's Jesus. It's Jesus. Jesus connects us to the stranger too, I would dare say. If you're open to him, if you're open to him leading and guiding your life, he will connect you to the very strangers you need to meet in any given day or any given moment. And it is already prepared for you. And some of them will be not pleasant experiences. I guarantee it. And it's not that Jesus wants to gear us towards hurt or pain, But God will lead us into the very situations that will help us to grow, to depend upon him, to lay everything before him. And again, the result is nothing but unmitigated, wonderful, surprising joy. Jesus connects us to the stranger, and even the stranger within ourselves. The second connection that I think is pretty interesting is that Jesus connects these two fellows with suffering in a new way. The usual religious assumption is that those who suffer are far from God, or they're being punished, right? Some of us assume that. Bad theology. But that's what we assume, that God punishes the bad people, and they have bad lives, and the good people have good lives, and they're prosperous and make lots of money and drive the pretty cars and have the pretty children and all this stuff, have the good families. But that's not true. They get a surprise from Jesus when he says, you're slow of heart to believe, O mindless ones. Wasn't it necessary for the Christ, for the Messiah, to suffer first before he enters his glory? Isn't it necessary? And the Greek word is there. It means necessary. Absolutely necessary for the Son of Man, the Son of God, the Messiah, to suffer before he goes into his glory. And all of a sudden, the idea that God suffers, the idea that God brings suffering into himself, that God experiences our sufferings and the sufferings of the world, that flips that whole theology upside down. It's not just the bad, whoa, wait a minute, God suffers. There's something different about that. There's something that's messing with my mind. And if you're willing to go a little deeper, God connects us with our suffering in a new way. Jesus connects us with our sufferings in a new way. First of all, that we're never alone. You're never alone when you go through suffering. Sure, you feel alone. You feel like everybody's abandoned you or nobody understands, but God understands and does not withdraw from you. Why? Because he understands suffering. He brings that suffering into himself. That's the part of the resurrection. That's a big part of the cross. And so God experiences, he co-experiences your suffering with you and brings that good, that health, that redeeming power, that resurrection power into your suffering if you're willing to look for it. There is that silver lining someplace there, and that is Jesus himself, who will never leave you or forsake you. He comes into your suffering, connects you with your suffering in a new way. And as you connect with your suffering, whatever you're going through, that pain, you connect with God, the very essence of God, who God is for you, in a deeper way, all through your suffering. And so in all that disconnection, and we talked about this earlier on, other Sundays, in terms of prayer and depression, where you feel so separated from God, so apart from everybody, so alone. But God is there. He is not dead. He is alive to you and alive to me in every circumstance. There is no circumstance where you can find yourself where God is not there actively. He feels what you're feeling in deeper ways than even you, and he will travel with you. He will walk with you through that suffering from Good Friday, when everything seems bleak, to Sunday, to Easter Sunday, when things begin to open up and there's a whole new light. And he will walk the distance with you through that suffering. So Jesus was showing these two guys a new connection with suffering. That it's not something that's foreign to God. In fact, it's part and parcel of who God is. In his love, he brings, and like a sponge, he absorbs that suffering, all that darkness, all that stuff into himself. Why? Because we're such good Christians? Because we go to church all the time? No! It's because he loves us so much that he even gives his life for our lives, that we might live abundantly. The third and final thing that I see, the third and final kind of connection that I see in joy, that joy that comes, is that Jesus, it's interesting, they say, Remember the last words that they said? They said, didn't our hearts burn? Weren't our hearts on fire as he opened for us the scriptures? But Jesus does more than that. Because an encounter with Jesus Christ, the resurrected Christ, the one who is alive, our willingness to open up and walk through life in prayer with Christ, in Christ, the result of that is that he will open up for you not only the scriptures, the Bible itself, and go, whoa, I never saw that before. He will open up for you all of life. He will reveal to you that spouse that you think that you know. He will reveal to you that child that you think that you know inside and out, who has lived with you year after year. He will open up for you the very desires that you have in your life, the things that you think, oh, I know what I like and what I don't like. He'll take you even deeper and will show you what real life is all about. He will open up all of that for you. And your heart will burn, and that burning is the joy, the incredible joy of being connected with life himself. Life himself, every day, without cost, except to him who gave his life for us on a couple pieces of wood. There are new connections to be made because of Easter. Those connections we would call prayer, being connected to God. See, God's already connected with you. He loves you. He loves you. He could not love you any more than right now, right at this moment. But the choice to receive that love is yours and yours alone. No one can make that choice for you. And the beautiful thing about it is that you can make the choice whether you're happy, sad, depressed, worried, anxious, on medication, on all sorts. No matter where you are psychologically or spiritually or whatever, you can always make the choice to move closer, to receive at least some of that love, some of that presence, some of that opening up truth for you in your life right now, right where you are. Doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are, how messed up you are. It doesn't matter. And that's the beauty of it all. That's what Easter is all about, Charlie Brown. And so today, some of you are struggling with things. You're struggling with decisions in your life. Things that are bringing tension and pressure. And what do we do? Which way do we go? Let Jesus open that up for you. Some of you are going through some really tough emotional suffering. Some really deep, dark stuff that maybe only you know about. Maybe you haven't even shared this with anybody, but God knows. He knows your deepest, darkest, every recess of where you are or where you have been. And you're suffering greatly. And you may be smiling at me on the outside, but you're crying on the inside, and it is hard. God knows that. God feels that. He experiences it in his very heartbeat for you. And he will never, ever let you go. He will not let you go. Walk through it with him. Don't be alone. And then finally, there are those of you who want to live a secure, tightly controlled life. And you think that by controlling things a little better, a little more effectively, your life will finally become good. And it's a total lie. Because Jesus comes to you as the stranger. He comes to you as the unknown one, the unknown factor, the one that dwells not in solid stuff, at least to us, but in kind of murky places. And you can't grab a hold of him. Just like with these guys in the story. As soon as they recognized him, what did Jesus do? Boom! He's gone! He disappears. Because you can't grab a hold of God, right? But you can let God grab a hold of you. And that's your choice today. And so I'm going to ask you just to bow your heads and just kind of close your eyes and kind of get kind of a comfortable place, and to think about, where are you right now? What are you feeling right now? I mean, really, authentically, what's going on for you right now? The pains, the hurts, the broken places. And to allow the one who is alive to come to you today with his life. And to do a work, a perfect work in your heart and in your mind and in your body that he wants to do his own way. And to back off, to make a decision to back off of your own devices and your own strategies, just for a little bit, and see what the power of the resurrection can do. And so, Lord Jesus, we invite you this morning that this would be an Easter morning, not just something we went to and a really good breakfast, but a new beginning. It doesn't matter if you've been a believing Christian for 50, 60, 70 years. It doesn't matter if you've never met Christ before. You can move deeper. You can move a little deeper into his power, into the joy, into the surprise of who he is. So Jesus, we ask you this morning to make those new connections for us, to overturn our old ideas about God, and to look to the newness and the freshness, and literally into the very face, the smiling face of Jesus, tears running down his cheeks, because he too experiences the joy of connecting with you. Those of you who are ready and willing to go that distance with Jesus, to come to a new place of openness with him today, just in your heart this morning, just say, I do. Just say, I will go. Amen.